Wake up, Slop Nation. We're back. I'm assuming the majority of you are more than familiar with an Iceberg video. Well, WITCHDOCTOR DB on Twitter, aka X, the everything platform. But WITCHDOCTOR went ahead, made a HOI4 Iceberg little list here, and allowed me to actually go ahead and steal it for a bit of slop content. So obviously, we're starting off in the clouds here. There's a lot of weird stuff in HOI4, but realistically, you should know everything here. I won't be going through every single thing, but I will go through the most interesting ones on here. Formable nations, DLCs, nukes, agency, a historical hidden focus trees, voice lines, border guard, naval invasion sound, Tanner Hoover, achievements, country settings, multiplayer puppeting, exile governments. I think the most obscure one on there would obviously be the hidden focus trees, but all of those get popularized pretty quickly from people like me who immediately find them. But weirdly, I'm going to say the most obscure thing probably on there is definitely the country settings. Not a lot of people know that you can actually go ahead and customize a whole bunch of HOI4 and actually set what paths to go down for a lot of the countries, and even have a whole bunch of other fun settings that's kind of tucked away down here in the custom game rules. Oh, sorry, by the way, Slop. I did want to go ahead and say thank you to everyone that checked out the new channel, by the way, on GSP. Actually, really good going that you guys got it up to like 10k subscribers or something. That was pretty impressive. Yeah, I didn't want to shout it out on the main channel. I thought, if you're watching the Slop channel, if you somehow made it to iSorrow, you're probably a big enough fan that you'd probably appreciate it more than all the normies. But yeah, again, thank you to everyone that subbed to the channel. If you want to go check it out, there's like 5 videos live on there right now, and if you enjoyed the old series where we were looking at like weird Steam games from back in yonder day, you'll probably really enjoy it. I think the videos on there are really funny and really good to watch and just binge. Close your eyes. And dream of the good old days. Okay, a little shill aside there, but let's go ahead. Let's go down a tier straight away, and look at that. Shadow Mustache Man right off the bat. Okay, he actually has some of my favorite things already in this, and what's kind of funny is the one that I immediately get drawn to is Kagulian, and I think it's both really fitting that Kagulian is where it is right there, because that's where it is on the map realistically, and at the same time I do think it should be lower, because who the hell comes and looks at Kagulian? Yeah, but Kagulian's like one of my favorite things in the game. It's just so random that they put that in down there. They realistically didn't need to. I do genuinely think the devs could probably just one day remove Kagulian, or even just move it over one tile every update until it's like over here and nobody would know. But we do have a few more obscure things in here, guaranteed by Britain. I would say that's too obscure. I think every single HOI4 player in their existence has seen the curse guaranteed by Britain before. Truly nothing can, end the playthrough quicker than guaranteed blood. Just seeing that little Union Jack right there will just make your blood boil. Oh, yeah, we do have some interesting ones on here that I guess are kind of obscure, like the Easter Island baby, where I can't remember specifically how you do it, but on Easter Island, occasionally, it's run by a baby. So there you go. On Easter Island, you can release a nation if you go down a crusade against imperialism. I think it appears other ways too. I really can't remember, because I've kind of voided South America from my brain. I mean, genuinely, I'm not too sure. I haven't scrolled all the way down and looked through the iceberg yet, but South America in general could just be on there. But yeah, look right here. Okay, we got ourselves the Kingdom of Rapa Nui, and it's baby. The baby does hold mystical communion though, and have itself war support 5%, stability 10%, non-core manpower 10%, pretty good, division defense on core 30, 25%, and generate war goal tension limit -40. The baby that can do it all. I mean, technically it is the Regency Council, but at the same time, that's a baby. HOI4 YouTubers, I don't think that's obscure. I mean, it's really obscure if you've randomly found this video, you don't know who I am, I guess. The Franco-British Union, I think, should actually probably be a bit lower, because it's almost impossible, if not impossible, for it to ever form. If you don't know, it's where France and the UK merged. It was based on a historical precedent after, I think, the fall of France. It was, proposed that France and the UK essentially bind together because it'd be a better way for them to continue fighting. Didn't go ahead. Vichy instead formed, and the rest is HOI4 event in history. But I'm pretty sure the AI is just never... I think someone said after I actually brought it up in a YouTube short or something, I showed it off, or maybe it was a video, I can't remember, that the AI was guaranteed to never pick it. And the only way you can do it is with mods and or actually, you know, switching over to France, clicking it, and then there you go, that's it. Yeah, it is a bit of a weird one, because I could have sworn back in the day it was a good period where it would actually form quite often, but it seems nowadays, unless they change something, it's probably just going to keep getting pushed back into the minds of the developers, and just one of those kind of leftover beginner features, or I guess flavor, that came out at the start of HOI4. We also have things like incorrect flags, which... yeah, a lot of flags in the game are incorrect. Some for good reason, you know, because they get banned in certain countries, and others probably just down to a bit of a historical caveat. I will say a lot of the historical flags, for the most part, I'm assuming are correct. There are obviously a few weird ones that, you know, Paradox had a reputation of kind of just throwing, say, if you were going to go communist as a nation that wasn't supposed to go communist, you just have a normal flag and then a hammer and sickle on top. I do think Paradox has gone a bit better with that over time, put a bit more of a, you know, a bit of creative juices on their old history flags. But yeah, there's definitely still some in the game that are pretty bad. Yeah, I want to point out on this little iceberg is WitchDoctor did say that all the pink ones obviously in the top are from mods specifically, which obviously are a big part of HOI4, but I think I'm gonna, you know, skip over quite a few of them because yeah, it's a mod. I want to look at the vanilla stuff, but the one I do want to look at is super events. I genuinely think super events are one of the worst things ever added to like HOI4 mods. I don't know where they spawned from. I think it probably was TNO, but as soon as TNO added them, oh boy, they're in every single mod available. And obviously, if you're a HOI4, you're recording for HOI4 for YouTube, most of the time these actually have a lot of copyrighted music used in them, and obviously I can't use them. So when they just kind of randomly fire out of nowhere and just blast your eardrums with something that you can't put on YouTube, it's a little bit annoying. Yeah, I don't think they're, you know, bad if you just play single player. They're probably pretty enjoyable to see a big event actually happen. It's only really annoying in my specific scenario because of what I just said, because, you know, one wrong move on YouTube and the the bots just take you out. Okay, we're moving down again. Reinforce meme. Reinforce means something that a lot of people, they hear it a lot but probably don't know what it means. So I guess for a quick explanation, if you're not too familiar with the term reinforce meme, or you've heard it before, you don't know what it is essentially when you get into combat, if you're in combat and you actually are winning the battle like we are right now, as you can see, the divisions that are actually in the fight are these ones up here. These are all the reserves down here. So regardless of what's going on at the bottom here, a lot of people don't know. They're like, oh, I've got a big stack, how did I lose that province? It's because in the battle over here, look at the stat. If, let's say, we wanted to push this Chilean unit out and these units never enter the battle, they don't reinforce because it is it's a base chance value for them to enter the battle and reinforce. Currently, it's 2%. So if you were fighting this battle and you managed to de-org this unit right here that's in the battle all the way down to 0 before these guys actually get a chance to enter the battle, it's a 2% chance for them to reinforce in, you'll actually win the battle and push every single unit out of the tile. So a lot of people, you know, when they play HOI4, they're like, oh man, I got so many units on there, how did they win? It does make no sense. It's because you're not looking at the battle. You're looking at what's happening in the battle, which is you not actually being in the fight, essentially. And obviously there are ways to kind of mess with this. If you have a really powerful unit on a pretty small terrain and combat with type, you can actually do a lot of damage and de-org the enemy's units incredibly quickly. And if they don't reinforce in time, boom, you break through. That's reinforced meme. Censored event images. I'm not actually too sure what that is, but obviously there are a lot of events in HOI4 and a lot of them are just from historical portraits and photographs. So I imagine quite a few of them. I can't think of any specifically off the top of my head. Might have a few harrowing implications on what's actually in them. But, you know, there obviously are a lot of event images in there. So if you can think of any that are censored, leave a comment down below. We also have the last Romanov, which is the secret path for Poland. I'm assuming where you actually get Anastasia back, or quote-unquote Anastasia. King Wojtek, obviously, another secret hidden Polish leader. Oh, one of my favorites, the Emu Empire. So the Emu Empire is the non-aligned name for Australia. I'm pretty sure it does have a meme portrait, but it's kind of hard to get now because they rejigged it when the UK got their updated focus tree. Yeah, they changed this a while back. You can still get the Emu Empire as I've shown here. The only way I know of which doing it is actually having it be released as a non-aligned nation by a non-aligned nation. But it is one of those fun little Easter eggs that was added at the start of the game and is still technically in, even if it's kind of hard to get. Okay, yeah, we obviously Senor Hilter. If you're new to HOI4, you may not have seen any Senor Hilters, but there are various ways that after, say, Germany falls, if you do one of their non-historical paths, that this little mustache and his boy, the man, can actually turn up in various meme formats on so many different nations. At this point, I've lost track. The only one that's kind of got a lot of content, or at least some content linked with it, is Argentina, where you can get the Fourth Reich, which I think, actually, off the top of my head, was the original Senor Hilter, where he would turn up, is down there. But when we had Trials of Allegiance, they actually got themselves a new hidden focus tree for him as well. So I don't think any of the others actually have any interesting content linked to them. And, you know, we got so many things in here that are, you know, pretty average secret stuff. Obviously, Queen Elizabeth, you can get her as a leader. It's a bit of a convoluted thing, but I have actually seen it happen in a couple HOI4 games. It's not impossible to see. We got Armor Meme, which I'm assuming is just in relation to actually creating a heavy tank, putting as much armor in it as you can, and then putting it in, say, in an infantry unit and creating a sort of super marine, which I do think was actually on there already, so maybe that's not specifically what they mean by armor meme. And then we got the Pope. Obviously, I don't think it's that much of a secret that you can get the Pope as Italy, considering it's essentially their best path in the game. Okay, getting further on down, we've got Eva Braun. That's right, you can get Eva Braun, another convoluted secret leader with not much gain. I don't think I've ever actually done it yet because, again, it's not really worth doing, but you can get Curse Punish Eva Braun. I don't think it's really a great secret, in my opinion. I find the fact that you can get Strasser way more interesting and memey, in my opinion. If you're not too sure how to get Strasser, there's like a big convoluted way to do it. I'm pretty sure I did a YouTube short on it, so maybe go check that out. And yeah, you do have to go monarchist, and then if I remember correctly, you have to get expatriate the communists and then flip back fascists through an advisor, and then you can get Otto Strasser as your leader. It's kind of funny, kind of meme, and you essentially get the entire monarchist path, but can also have the freedoms that come with having a fascist government, which is you can go, you know, put up your conscription all you want, have, you know, your economy, whatever you want. Cool. And then we do have a few little weird ones on here, actually, like the Kingdom of Finland. Kingdom of Finland's one of those weird hidden paths. Again, I've done a little YouTube show on it if you want to check it out on the main channel. That is just a bit convoluted and you don't really have too much to gain. It's actually easier to get the Kingdom of Finland now because I think one of the focuses, I can't remember where in this new German tree, actually forces it to become a thing and they become your puppet. Oh, okay, just I said that's right there. Ensure Finnish loyalty. That will make the Kingdom of Finland. So it's a bit easier to get that way if you just want to see it on the map. But if you actually want to play it, it ain't too great. Okay, here's a kind of mean one. It's the Mobile Headquarters Bus, which is just a special unit you can get for Sweden that does literally nothing. Yeah, it's nothing that amazing. It's just kind of funny. A very unique unit that realistically it won't do any good for you. The only thing that I can think of that's actually useful about it is linked to an achievement where you have to drive it around the map, unironically. Okay, out of this tier, I don't think there's anything else we need to look at. Strange releasable country names is one of the best things in the game. If you don't know, there are so many releasable countries in the game now, and Paradox kind of had a lot of fun just, you know, giving them weird names for each of their ideologies. I do, again, I'm just going to keep saying this, I have a YouTube short on the main channel if you want to see more about that, but I think specifically just off the top of my head, if you play as Malta and then I think go fascist, and then your name is like the 10th Crusade or something. It's just dumb stuff like that. It doesn't really add or do anything. But, you know, someone was having fun over in the development team. Okay, we're going down. We've got 2 more tiers after this one. There's only a couple in here we even have to really look at. And I think Silk Road Empire drama is just hilarious that this is actually quite down here. Because realistically, over time, I think the implications of the Silk Road Empire drama will be huge for the development of HOI4. But most people probably have no idea. We'll never have any idea where it stemmed from. If you need me to give a rundown, essentially when Graveyard of Empires has been developed, they actually showed that there was a path for the British Raj where you could recreate the Silk Road Empire, and in this path you get yourself cores on a lot of states across the Silk Road, including Shanghai and Tibet. Now, the Tibet one was the most contentious part, believe it or not. It's because a lot of the Chinese player base have been very upset that you can't actually core Tibet as China. And obviously, with a lot of, I don't want to say hostile relations between India and China politically, but there's definitely some animosity between the two countries. They're definitely, you know, we've got a few border disputes here and there, so it led to a lot of harassment of Paradox staff and the DLC in general. And I don't want to, you know, go too far into it. I think I actually already talked about this in one of the videos on this channel, funnily enough, but that is just the basics of it. It actually did lead to the Silk Road path, I think, getting removed. It is still kind of in the game, but the path specifically, I believe, got removed and replaced with the Mughal path. Yeah, but it was a big mess. Looking at the Steam discussion board for HOI4 over that week was pretty interesting and entertaining in a way. Bugged Spanish Civil War leader. I can't remember specifically how it works, but sometimes you just don't have a leader as Spain after winning the Civil War. Someone did explain to me at one point how exactly it comes about, but sometimes you'll just look at Spain and they'll have no leader. I think it's still in the game. It hasn't been fixed at all, but it's kind of funny. It's been there for so long. And speaking of horrendous bugs in the game that have not been fixed, Shaken Not Stirred is broken. If you don't know what Shaken Not Stirred is, it's an achievement in HOI4 where you have to, I think, have 2 spies with the seducer trait actually launch a coup in a nation, and it does not fire. Now, every now and again, every year or so, I should probably say at this point on the channel, I try to go for the achievement to see if they fixed it, and guess what? They still haven't. I actually wrote to the developers and the community manager at the time being like, yo, can you fix this? Didn't hear anything back, so I assume it's probably not fixed yet. But the only way you can actually get that achievement is by going back at patches, and I just refuse to do it. So I'm just waiting around. Eventually, I'm sure they'll fix it. Escape from Gotland. I can't remember specifically how to do it, but there was an achievement linked to Sweden where you actually get a kind of Chiang Kai-shek escape for the monarchy, where you flee to Gotland. When I actually did this, it was really easy just to win it back because the AI is supposed to push you out of Sweden. You launch into a civil war, but the AI just never pushed you. So you could just wait until the debuff you got goes away, and then you just beat the civil war. But the way they intended it for it to work is obviously you get pushed out of the mainland and then you're stuck on Gotland, just like the Kuomintang happened and they fled to Taiwan, and then you go back, you win the civil war, and you get an achievement. That's not quite how it works though, but it is a little secret in the game, although not that secret if it's got an achievement linked to it, right? Oh my god, you know, I'm looking down a tier now. We skipped a lot in that tier just because there was a lot of mods. I don't think there's too much to say about mods, but I looked at the next tier. All right, first off, that picture, all right? Amazing. A lot of the generic portraits in the game are actually, if you think about it, going to be lost at some point because you only ever see them if you've ran out of generals or if you've flipped ideologies, because for the most part now, every nation does have their own portrait. But if you're not aware, back in the day, specifically when HOI4 came out, if you'd go look at any nation, specifically in South America, you'd have a guy called El Generico down there. And it'd be the exact same leader portrait for all of the nations because they hadn't actually put all the portraits in. Those days are definitely behind us in many ways. And I think even like looking if you want to promote generals from your officer corps now, look, they've actually put in quite a few regional ones too. So you won't ever see a lot of those little leaders anymore. So I think there will come a point where you will just never see all of those old generic portraits in HOI4, and that's actually kind of sad in a way. We have the HOI4 board game as well. If you don't know, HOI4 got like a Kickstarter board game. I don't think it's out yet, and the campaign's probably over, so you're not ever going to be able to buy this unless they actually release it as a buyable product after. But yeah, HOI4 does have a board game. If you've ever played the HOI4 board game, let me know. Is it worth playing? Should I pay the probably exorbitant amount of extra money you have to buy on the resale value for the HOI4 board game on eBay? Or should I just, let that one slide? Oh, Yamayan is one that I've also never shown. Yamayan's kind of a recurring meme throughout Paradox games. It's this little province up here, and you can get yourself a releasable nation called Yamayan, and it's in I know specifically it's in Victoria too, probably has a little gimmick in EU4 or something too, and I believe the way to get it in HOI4 is actually super convoluted and linked to getting Wojtek, who is another bear character in Poland, and then I think you conquer Norway, and then you can release Yamayan and get a polar bear state up there. It's a very hard secret to get, but it is actually probably worthy of being this far down. I mean, we've also got the generic portrait origin, so if you don't know, again, like El Generico, these are all portraits based on just, I won't say random people that the developers found, but historical portraits of actual people. So I'm not sure I'm assuming they were in like the public domain, that they could use them, or they got the rights to use them and then put them in the game. But imagine just loading up HOI4 and being like, oh my god, it's Grandpa. That'd be really funny. But then we also got Vulga Germany, which is a releasable state over somewhere here. I always forget where it is, but it's essentially a little Soviet oblast. But historically, there were a lot of German settlers that they kind of hired to come over to Vulga Germany. And I think in World War II, they actually, they kept, oh, there they are right there. They kept a pretty big watch on the Vulgar Germans. But I guess it's less of a known thing nowadays as well, because if you, after the goddamn wrong, Germany can actually, with their right commissariat system, get a core on this, which I guess is pretty funny. Not really worth it. It's only 600k people here, but yeah, I guess more people probably know about it now. I mean, we got a few down here that I don't know. Okay, so we've got the Galapagos regime. What does that mean? Is that just an Ecuadorian name, potentially? Oh, wait a second. I do know exactly what this is. I can actually show it off pretty quickly here too by just getting into a peace conference. So if you go ahead, you take over Ecuador, you go into a peace conference, and then you don't take the islands. If you leave them on the Galapagos right there, they will become the Galapagos regime, which I think is, I could be wrong, okay, but I think it is a nod to a fact that back in the day, I could definitely attest to the fact I'd take out Ecuador and then forget to click on the Galapagos. I'm not sure if a developer could ever, like, tell me that for definite, or if it was just a little flavor thing, if for some reason you just left them in the Galapagos, but I think it is a nod to the fact that, definitely not just me that would sometimes take over Ecuador, forget to click on this province in the peace deal, and there you go. Ecuador lives there forever. Again, that is a super niche thing about HOI4 that probably a lot of people don't know, because now, especially with the new peace conference system, you probably ain't forgetting to take... Why would you ever, leave them in the Galapagos, really? Oh, okay, here's another good one. Chaplain seized in California. I can't remember if this is just specific to Germany, but if you are playing... maybe I can get it, actually. So, if you're playing Germany, you declare on America, and then get yourself a unit, and I think if you land over in Los Angeles and take it over, there you go. So if you go ahead, you take over California, you get Chaplin seized in California. While escaping to rural areas, he was stopped by a German troll who immediately recognized him for his iconic mustache after having him reprise the final monologue of his masterful The Great Dictator. The esteemed actor was convinced to come along to entertain the German troops stationed in the region. And then you promptly send him off to Berlin to go meet the mustache man himself. Now, if you don't know why it's kind of niche, for the most part, whenever you get a fall of a city event like that, you'll just click through them. They're not that important to read. But also, if you're capitulating the US as Germany, realistically, you probably don't have to march on down to California to get a capitulation. So it's very rare you'll ever see it fire. Simply down the fact that it will already be capitulated by the time you get over here. But again, it's just one of those little hidden things in HOI4 that you don't really see that have been in the game for the longest of time, and it's nice that they are still there. Okay, so if you actually go further down here, we're in our last tier, the bottom of the bottom, the deepest of the icebergs you can go. First off, we've got Tsar Stalin, which actually goes into unused portraits. So these two are very much linked. If you don't know what Tsar Stalin is, in the files hidden away is this portrait of Stalin. You can't get him in the game, unfortunately. I think this portrait has been used in mods and stuff like that, but it is in the game files. I think there was a little bit of code in there too, but it was never implemented. I think maybe it was originally intended to be some sort of Easter egg for the Soviets and no step back, but either they didn't think they could find a place to put it in, they didn't have time, or it was just so silly they left it behind. But yeah, it is kind of funny that that is in the files, and again, completely unused, never to be seen by anyone until now when I've just told you. Alright, now this one's deep. HOI4 Day 1 release. If you don't remember HOI4 back in the day, or you never played HOI4 back in the day, which is funny to say out loud actually, because I think it was about this time actually, about 9 years ago, around the time this video is released, the game came out. Now, obviously, I've been making videos on the game since its release, and I've been here throughout the entire journey. But HOI4 Day 1 release, if you were to play it and you've only played modern day HOI4, oh boy, you would not enjoy it in the slightest. The absolute amount of stuff that has just changed throughout the years is insane. How much stuff is just... It's a completely different game, I will not lie. Obviously, the bases are there. You can see where the game began and where it came to. But, oh, it feels bad to play. Even something as mundane as just the old air system is enough to give, I'm assuming, the bravest of men sheer terror. I mean, obviously, I've done a few videos going back looking at Day 1 release HOI4 on the channel, usually for Nostalgia November, but I don't think I'll ever do it, at least no time soon, because every time I go back, there's just so much stuff that I miss from modern day HOI. It's really hard to go back and play, and even harder the longer we go from the release day. But yeah, HOI4 is definitely one of those games that has only gotten better over the years. People probably take it for granted where the game is right now, but believe me, go play, go find a copy, you know, on wherever you find copies of old games, wink, of HOI4, and you'll know exactly what I mean, and you'll come crawling back on your hands and knees begging to play more modern HOI. Oh, we're at the bottom now though. The last thing on here, well, the kind of the last thing on here, the Penis Province. Now, if you ain't aware, in HOI4, right, I don't know if the developers were being sneaky. I don't know if there's historical precedent for this state. But down in the Soviet Union and Central Asia, there is a little bit of a gag. There's a phallic-shaped surprise down here. I still to this day don't know if this was done on purpose, because it is such a unique shape. Why does it look like that? But yeah, you know, I refuse to believe this wasn't done on purpose, alright? Come on. Like, what could this possibly be for? But that was the iceberg. That was everything on it. I believe I covered the most interesting things. Obviously, we didn't really go through the mod stuff, but even then, I think we've been rambling so long now that we probably wouldn't have time just for all the mod stuff for me to, you know, load up, go into it, have a look. But it actually kind of made me remember just how much weird stuff is in HOI4, especially from the game's release, that has just kind of been forgotten about. Just, I mean, like, who sees the Emu Empire anymore? Not a lot of people. And it is kind of funny just how much stuff in HOI4 does get buried under obviously new updates. Kind of like, old civilizations being built upon. A lot of stuff gets lost, and you gotta get in there with your pickaxe and go spelunking. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe down below, and let me know in the comments if there's anything you think belong on this iceberg. And obviously, go give a follow over to WITCHDOCTOR, who made it, and let them know did a very good job. This was a pretty cool deep dive into the HOI4 Easter egg world. Well, I guess not just Easter eggs, but more lesser known things in HOI4 that I always forget that not a lot of people know way too much about HOI4, because I've just been here as an ancient fossil since the beginning, where I've seen everything there is to see. But yeah, let me know. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you all in the slop next video.